Hi, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric, and if you've watched my other videos, what I look for is being able to do it one-on-one with you. So what I thought I would try to do, I'm not sure if it's going to be like a 2 or a 3-part series, how long I can keep you sitting and how long I can keep myself sitting. Uh, the A to Z's, through uh, having a small engine repair shop. Now, before I get started, you know, if any of you guys have any questions, please put them in the comments. Feel free to ask. Because in my book, the only dumb question is the one that isn't asked. Something that you're thinking about and you're wondering about and you don't have the answer, good chances are a lot more other people that are watching this video have got the same question, but they're afraid to ask. So please, ask away. And for you guys that are watching this video that have a shop already and you're running a shop, feel free to chime in on the comments, to how you do it. Because just because I do it a certain way doesn't mean that I'm 100% right. I am for what I'm doing here at my shop, but there's more than one way to skin a cat, as the old timers used to say. So on that, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing we have to decide is there a need in your area for a small engine repair shop? Now, I guess what I'm getting at is if there's already 3 hamburger joints on the one street, adding one more hamburger joint probably isn't a smart idea. Unless you can change the way the hamburger is being made or what's on it. But you see where I'm getting? Whereas if somebody set up a hot dog shop, probably a good chance they would succeed because everybody over here is doing hamburgers. So that's the first thing you have to figure out. And this is, each area is unique to itself, is how many other shops in the area are already doing it. And if you have other shops in the area, why do you feel that you can do it as good or better than what they're doing it? And are they booked solid where that they have an overflow that could come to you? Because a lot of things that people don't look at are these pre-existing shops. As a business owner, we have to send our mechanics or ourselves to these schools to stay certified to work on, Briggs engines, Kohler engines, to have the warranty for them. So if you're just starting out and you have no certifications and you just have a drive to want to do it, then you're probably not going to be able to charge what they're charging. And in the same token, there's probably customers that they don't want to deal with that are lower dollar amounts coming through that the overflow could come to you. So I'm not saying that if you have other shops in the area that you can't set up shop. I'm saying that if you decide that you are going to set up a shop, you need to have something that distinguishes you from the other ones. And it can't be solely price. I watched businesses compete with each other and race to the bottom of what I call it. They keep dropping their hourly rates, trying to outdo the other one until they get to where they're not making any money. Nobody's making any money. The customer's making out all right, but all these shops aren't. So you have to find out if there's a niche in the area for what you want to do. Maybe they don't want to work on the weed eaters or the push mowers. I don't know, chainsaws. Those are things you're going to have to find out. And what I did when I first started this business, there were 2 other shops locally. And when I say locally, I live out in rural New York. So it's 12 miles to the nearest grocery store. So my nearest competitor was 12 miles away. But we're spread out here. But what I did is I didn't compete against them. I actually went and talked to them before opening a shop and asking them what they thought. One guy told me, he says, "You're crazy, Eric. Why would you want to do this? You want to be like this for the rest of your life?" We laughed about it. But he was the same thing as me. We workaholics, work 7 days a week. And that's what a business owner has to do. You don't get vacations. And those business owners that are taking vacation are losing sight of, their bottom dollar. Or they're throwing it out the window on their own needs instead of putting it back into the business. So you need to develop a niche, and you need to, I would suggest, talk with the other shops to see if, maybe they'll push you the overflow. Maybe they'll push you the stuff that they really don't want to tackle, because you have to be careful when you're running a shop. What I mean is, when I say you have to be careful, now we charge, and it varies from place to place, but we charge ourselves $45 an hour to our customers. Okay? Now, let's say they bring in a weed eater and it's not running. Now, we check compression, and compression is running between 90 and 110. It should still run, but the compression is getting weak in it. And the stuff made today isn't made to last like the old cast iron sleeves. All right, so we check the carburetor. All right, to rebuild the carburetor is going to take an hour. So there's $45 plus parts. And then once we get it back on, it's still not working right. So we order a carburetor. All right, so there's another $40 for a carburetor, another hour taking it on, putting it back on. You see where I'm going with this? That you can end up with having more money tied up in that unit than what it would for the customer to go out and buy brand new. You never want to get to, there's a middle ground. And you as a shop owner and you as a mechanic have to understand that concept, that if it's going to cost over half of what a new one does, before you lay a wrench on it, talk to the customer. And you know what I tell the customer? You'll be farther ahead to take that money you're going to pay me and put it towards a new one. Because, you can take this one with you as parts if you're going to buy one just like it. And they will tell everybody, they will be thrilled that you're willing to do that, and they will tell all their friends. Some of our best advertising are our customers. A happy customer is more apt to tell people about you in a good light than the unhappy. The unhappy will tell twice as many about how terrible you were to them. And some customers, you can't, no matter what you do, you're not going to please them anyways. But that's where our biggest advertising budget is. It's our customers. Our customers, word of mouth, that they share us on Facebook and stuff. All right, so you got to find out if there's a need, if there's a niche for what you're trying to do. And you've talked with the other shops, and the other shops are saying, look, we're booked solid. And that's a good to know, that if the two other shops in your area are booked solid, they're turning people away. And that might be your niche. And when you come in, understand that, people ask, well, what should I charge per hour? Well, it depends on how many certifications you have, how long have you been a mechanic, and how long it takes you to do stuff. Now, here at this shop, my mechanic can tear an engine down, put it back together faster than most people can tear one down. Just to tear it down. He'd have it back together with the gaskets and everything. But he's been doing it for years. And he's saving the customer time. That's where most of the money comes from, is time. How much time people have in it. And if you're just learning how to fix stuff. You've been doing it as a hobbyist for years, let's say, on your own stuff, that you really can't pass that on to the customer of you learning a trade, learning how to do it, right? It's just like when I went to college. It was to learn something, and I paid to go to college. That's the same thing you're doing when you start a small business. You basically are paying out by not charging as much while you learn. As you get better, then you can change your hourly rate. All right, so now that we know there's a need in our area for someone part-time maybe or full-time, it depends on how you want to do it. Now, if you're doing it part-time, good chances are it's going to be nights and weekends. And the hard part is customers wanting to drop stuff off with you. So you need to have a place where they can drop it off and tag their name to it. We have here at this shop, we have after hours drop-offs. But they need to let me know in advance that they're dropping it off so that I know whose is whose. And what I do is when I see a new machine out here in my yard in the morning, I simply walk out and I put a tag on it. You can get these tags right through Rotary Corporation, and put their name on it so that they don't get mixed up. I mean, I've had as many as 6 Cub Cadet lawnmowers that were identical twins here in the yard at one time. And if you did not tag them, you would not know the difference of who belonged to who. And you do not want to send another customer's machine home with another customer, right? So keeping good track of bookwork, that's the key, is knowing your customers, who they are, and making sure that they understand that you need to know prior to them dropping it off what they are dropping off and what the issue is. A lot of times they're just going to say it don't run. Okay, but at least you know. It just needs a service and it's not running. Because needing a service is a lot different than not running. Needing a service is changing the oil filter, spark plugs, fuel filter, checking the tire pressures, cleaning the deck, sharpening the blades or replacing them. That's a service. Not running is now you got to troubleshoot to find out what is the issue. And I think I mentioned on another video a little trick that we use. It's not really a trick. But a lot of times after, generators, lawnmowers, what have you, have been sitting for a period of time, usually from fall to spring. They need a little bit of a shot in the arm to get them to start. And what we do here is, let me emphasize, we use carburetor cleaner. Do not use starting fluid on your gas-powered engines. It's not good for them, even if it's lubricated. Use the carburetor cleaner. You can't hurt the unit with it. And what we end up doing is you take the air breather off and then just give it a couple shots up into the carburetor, pull the choke, and then turn it over. And if it fires right up, then you know that it's going to run, and then you can proceed to doing your other stuff. The other thing, when I talk about machines not running, sometimes the simplest fix, and you need to find the location. It's on 90% of the riders. But there's a 15 to 20 amp fuse that if that goes, it will not allow the unit to start without replacing the fuse. But if that fuse blew, then you need to figure out, why did that fuse blow? Did it get a short somewhere in the system? Did something ground? Or, you know, it's an electrical issue. You know, I've had them here where you just pop another fuse in and they pop again. That tells me that it's grounding somewhere. Your live hot wire is hitting a ground. If you put another one in and it doesn't bother you, you mow up and down, try it on your yard and stuff like that, and it's fine. All right, but that's the other little trick is sometimes it's just simply putting a fuse in it. But if you put a fuse in it, remember to check the electrical real quick to make sure that just follow your wires. Check on the frame and see if there's any rubbing marks. Sometimes the vibration will cause the wire to rub on the frame and then fray it enough so that the wires inside can touch frame, and what happens? You ground the system. And I've seen it actually catch the wiring right on fire underneath the dash because it did something like that. So just be aware of that. If it is the fuse, check, make sure there's not an issue of when that customer takes it home that they vibrate it just enough so that arcs again and causes problems. So if you check the line, check the wires, then that way you don't want the customer calling you back telling you it's broke down again, right? All right, so since we've decided we've done our homework and there is a need in our area, the next thing is coming up with a business name. Now, what I can tell you in New York, you have to come up with a business name and submit it to the state to make sure that there's no other businesses out there in the state of New York that's using that business name. And they will actually check farther than that, but they don't want 3 or 4 businesses with the same name. You know, it's not fair to the one business that may be very successful to have somebody copy their name. So you have to make sure you get that done. And along that lines is once you have a business name, you want to file with the state for a sales tax number. Very critical when it comes to being able to deal with distributors and wholesalers to get their parts that way. If you're going to be a weekend warrior, you know, where you're just playing at it to make a few extra bucks, you know, good chances are you're working underneath the table. You know, that's fine as long as it works for you. I would highly recommend that you don't, because what will end up happening is the other shops in the area could turn you in if they get wind that you're doing it and not doing it legitly, because they had to jump through all the hurdles. And you wouldn't want somebody just starting up to start taking business from you and they're doing it because they haven't got to pay in, you know, that because shop owners, business owners do put out a lot of money, you know, for employees, payroll taxes, liability insurance, rent, mortgage, what have you on the buildings, inventory. You see where I'm going with this? Yeah. All right, so now we have a business name and we've got our sales tax number. What's next? Well, I would suggest that you get some business cards made. Now, in the beginning, I'm not sure if Vistaprint still does this or not, but Vistaprint they would give you 100 business cards for a little bit to nothing, but they had their advertisement on the back of it. Now, starting out, but if you're going to be a legit business, then I would invest in good business cards. You know, we buy them by the 5,000 pack. Yeah. Because we do still quite a bit of online sales, and when doing online sales, we throw a card into every package that leaves here so that our customers have a card to call us if they need us. And then you want a good billing software. Now, it doesn't have to go, you don't have to be crazy on it. Personally, you can, if you have like Microsoft Office on your computer, you can create a invoice. I think even Word does, of where you can get a template of, put your business name in it and then put down however you want it. You can rearrange it. And what I can do is I can show you how we do it. But I used to buy the triplicate copies, and it ended up being right around $2-3 a piece. We get them 250 at a time or 500 at a time. And I thought it was a waste because the customer, all they needed was one receipt, and we needed one receipt to put into our filing cabinet so that every month I go through and bring everything up to date. And all that cost me was the paper it was printed on and my time. So what I did was I created 2 sheets. One sheet for the mechanic, and that is put down all your parts, put down your labor, how much time you had in it, and if the customer brought 3 machines, we break it down into riding lawnmower parts, push lawnmower parts, weed eater parts, so that the customer could see the breakdown of what went into what. Because I mean, honestly, if the customer sees that you actually put them in, then they don't have any problems paying for it. But don't say you put something in and not do it. Big no-no. So by doing it this way, it makes more work for you at the end of the month to bring your books up to date. Now you have Microsoft Money, you have QuickBooks. There's a ton of programs out there, but there's a number of software programs out there that you can use, or you can do it the way I do it, that just save you some money. But the key to everything in life, here it is. Pay attention. The more money you have, the less time you need to spend. The less money you have, the more time you need to spend. Time is money. That's how they correlate. That either you can pay somebody to do it, or you can do it yourself and take that much longer. So some things, there's a trade-off. With me, I hate payroll. There's just too much crap changing all the time. So I have an accountant, and all she does for me is payroll. And I shouldn't say all, because she keeps the books and the payroll taxes and everything paid year round. So I do not have to look over my shoulder that we're not paying something. Whereas, if you've got more time than money, because you're talking, for our business anyways, it costs us right around $1,200 a year to have her do payroll for us. And it's a money well spent as far as I'm concerned. And then I have another accountant that does the business taxes, and I get everything all together, but they charge $950 at the year end to do all the business taxes, because our business, my business, I set it up as an incorporated business. It's EED's Incorporated. And then underneath that is 3 different businesses. I have Northern New York Parts, which we talk about here. I have Butternut Ridge Farms, which is a beef operation. And then we have My Farm Parts. And My Farm Parts deals with the agricultural side, the tractor parts, miscellaneous, what have you. So probably you're going to end up being a sole proprietor of your business. So one of the first things that I would recommend is that you set up a checking account in the business name with your name on it. But see, most banks will not accept a check not written explicitly to you. I know, like Community, there's like 3 different banks up here that if it doesn't have your name on it, they will not allow you to deposit it. My business checking is done on a large scale, they'll take two-party checks, whatever, but the catch is you're responsible if it's a two-party check. It's still your account. Uh, and that comes to money collection, collecting the money from your customers. Now, cash is always good. Checks are all right as long as you know that they're not going to bounce. And credit card and debit card. This is where most people like to pay, is with a credit or a debit card. So you have to have some way or some means of collecting the money from your customer. Now, PayPal. PayPal is a financial organization. If you haven't heard, they first started off with as a payment method for eBay, and then they were split up. And now they're their own entity, and they're doing a lot of other stuff. And one of the things that they do have is a card swipe that you can plug into your computer, your laptop, or your iPad. A lot of people use an iPad where they can just slide it into the USB port and then just slide the card. You also want to be able to physically punch the numbers in, because what we tend to have is a lot of customers will call and give us their credit card information over the phone. And I'll write it down, I'll do the billing for them, and then we shred anything of anybody's credit cards that instant. Once it's processed and it's gone through, we shred it. We don't keep it on file. We don't keep it where somebody else can get a hold of it, is the key. You do not want your customers' information out in the public. So PayPal is one of the ones that do offer it. You have a bunch of what I call second-party processing. If you check in the local area, there's probably a number of businesses that are strictly in that to have the credit card machines, and they charge you so much a month and blah, blah, blah. That's good if you're doing a lot of business. But if you're not doing a lot of credit card business, then I would step back and look at PayPal. Because the other thing that I forgot to mention is with PayPal, you can actually have a customer pay you through PayPal online, where they can just send you a PayPal payment to your PayPal account. And you can also do that with Facebook. Facebook has also got the system in where you can put your checking account numbers and stuff in and send money to other people that are on Facebook directly through instant messaging. And they never see your card numbers, they never see anything. They just, when I get paid, I just see so-and-so paid this amount. So you got Facebook and PayPal. Neither one of them charge you. I think they charge you for the actual transaction, but there's no monthly fee to have it. And they probably have the most options as far as how to pay it. How your customers can pay, whether it's physically in front of you, over the phone, or directly to your accounts. All right, so we need to have a niche, a business name, tax, ID, some type of financial accounting software, or doing it yourself with Word or Excel, one invoice at a time. And you need a way to get paid, for the work you're being done if a customer wants to pay you with a credit card. That pretty well, the other things that you're going to have to look at as a business owner, and this is not until you actually get a physical, is that you're going to want to look into liability insurance. And then you aren't going to have to worry about payroll if you're the only person working in the business. But if you hire somebody to come in Now you have to create payroll. And now you're going to have payroll taxes. And I can tell you from past experiences, bigger is not always better. I mean, I had $1 million operation with 6 employees, 7, and what a headache. I'm telling you. And I was on the go 7 days a week, 12, 14-hour day minimum, sometimes 18-hour days. And I just said enough. I'm 60 years old. I'm going to slow down a little bit. So I downsized. And I got it to where, I'm not busting my hump, but we're still paying the bills. But that's just something to keep in mind. That once you commit to becoming a business owner, especially if you're floor planning it, pre-season orders and all the other stuff, is that you're going to have to start somehow either carrying a mortgage. My business, I don't have a mortgage. I pay cash for it. Inventory. All mine is paid for. Don't get in heavy into inventory so that it just sits here and tying up your money. Your liability insurance, there's 2 different liability insurance. One is on the business, so if a customer gets hurt or a customer's machine catches fire or something, it's covered. And then you have insurance on your employees. See, as you start getting bigger, there's more stuff that you're going to have to think about. Well, let's keep it. You're doing a sole proprietor or a partner or something like that, and you're just testing the water. I don't want to scare you off either. All right, so that's part 1, and that's everything from seeing if there's a need to your business accounting software and how to get paid. Part 2 is going to be, what do I need in the shop? And how do I bill, per se, for each stuff? And then I think part 3 is going to be customers, how to get customers, how to retain customers, how to keep your business going year round, and getting as much business as you want. So on that note, I hope this has been beneficial to you. Like I say, I'm talking to one-on-one. That's the way I like to talk to anybody, as I'm trying to explain to you the good, the bad, the ugly of starting your own shop. All right. So we'll see you on part 2. All right. Thanks so much for watching.